Spend less time pitching and trying to raise money. Just prove the value. Because when you're sitting face to face with a group of executives and they're telling you there's no way this will work, that's not the most encouraging thing in the world. My drink just spilled on my computer.
Are we okay? Do we need to take a pause?
Let's pause for a second.
Those of you guys who have been tuning into our show, we've often shared stories about really bad clients. Well, in today's show, we have the opposite of that kind of client. We have what we call the dream client. The unicorn does exist, and I'm talking to Elay Cohen, founder of Saleshood. So I just want to welcome and thank Elay Cohen for coming on the show today. Elay, how you doing?
Chris, I'm doing great. Good to be here. Much love, my friend.
All right.
Here we are. Let's get going.
Yeah, let's get going. So you've seen Elay on our show, on our YouTube channel before. He's talking about sales technique, and you're thinking like, well, who is this guy and how does he know this thing? And then who am I? And I've been sitting here sharing with you guys in very open and transparent ways what I know about sales. And I have to say, and I can count on one hand those influences, and Eli's definitely one of those fingers on my hand. And I learned terms that I never knew even existed before. Things like a compelling event, social prospecting, asking open-ended questions, and going through all this content. And of course, I'm talking about this platform, Saleshood, that you've created to help a lot of people out there with sales and to kind of give it some legitimacy. And I think that's part of the mission. And I love what you're doing. There's parallels between what you and I are doing. So let's get in this. You had, at some point in time, worked as an employee. Can you talk us a little bit about your work history and why you left that and then created your company, the company we're going to talk about a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to go way back in time for that one. I'm from Toronto, so let's just do a little call out to Toronto, Canada.
What up, Toronto?
What's up? And I moved to Silicon Valley about 20 years ago and worked at a startup, then worked at Oracle. And 2005, went to Salesforce.com. 5 years ago, I started thinking before I left Salesforce, this is my time. This is my time to solve a big problem, to leave a legacy, to create something and truly leave a legacy. And the legacy, I believed, was to help elevate the sales profession. I knew the problem I wanted to solve. I didn't have clarity around the mechanics of how we were going to solve the problem. So what we're actually building is this platform that is going to connect people through storytelling, through shared experiences, and using the mobile phone with video and social learning where people can give each other feedback and data to help people get connected with knowledge. We knew that's what we wanted to create as a business. So I'm like, okay, I need a name. And I literally landed on this word called SELFHOOD. And I'm like, SELFHOOD? Exactly. The fully developed person. And I thought, wow, what's the fully developed salesperson? What's the fully developed sales culture? What's the fully developed sales team? I'm like, Saleshood. Of course it is. And the best part about the story is that the URL was available. March 13th, 2013. That's the universe saying, go make it happen.
Wow, I love that. Can you make it a little bit more tactical? Like, how do you get funding? How do you align stakeholders? How do you find a partner or a developer or whoever it is to help you bring this together? Because we know it's not a solo effort.
I think the first piece of advice is, if you believe in it and you're passionate about it, you got to do it. Over the years, I'd had ideas that timing wasn't right. And, right. no regrets, but this one was right. And, the specific steps that we took and, that I initially took was, once I had the idea, like I knew I needed a URL. Like just my gut told me I needed a URL, everything about me. And once I had that URL, all of a sudden people were like, oh, I know what you're doing. And so I didn't need to explain it as much anymore. So the first thing I did was I started writing down the plan. I thought, okay, this is a world of venture capitals and let's build a deck and let's raise some money. That's kind of what I thought needed to happen. And so I started working on a deck and started sharing the vision. Each person told me, great idea. Oh my God, no one's doing it. And so they said, who's the technologist that's going to build this for you? Because you've got the vision and that ain't your skill. I remember when I sat down with Arthur and he's my co-founder, CTO, and he heard the vision, the name, and he's like, hey, this is great, I like it. I said, so tell me, what's the stack going to look like? What's the infrastructure going to look like? And he looked at me and he said, why do you care? That's my job. Boom. I knew I found my match right there. Clear division of responsibility. He owns the infrastructure, the technology stack, and I was responsible for getting customers and making them successful. And so, for me and for someone who has a vision or an idea, to kind of wind this down, you have a big vision and a big idea, but focus on what are the most important things that need to get done right now to move you to the next milestone. And for me, the next specific milestone was, some kind of beta program with a small group of people. I had the people, and the funding wasn't really the issue. I kind of felt like we would do that later, but I needed the technologists. So I dropped everything I was doing and just did that. And so focus and just do what you need to do.
Well, congratulations. And I do want to recap some of the points that you made here. I think the first thing that you said was do something to make it feel real. For you, it was getting your URL and getting a name, and the name crystallized the idea. It gave form or shape to the vision, because otherwise it's like this puffy cloud. And I think the name is brilliant in that you can share it with somebody and they immediately get it. You mentioned about writing a business plan, which is the playbook that everybody goes by. But once you realize like maybe it wasn't all about that you needed to find a partner, somebody who shared your vision, somebody who could possibly hold their own with you to challenge you at times when needed, but to be a true partner in that sense.
And then customers.
Mm-hmm. And customers, I'm sorry.
And yes.
Spoken like a true business person, before the platform is built, you're already looking for customers. And that's a very valuable lesson, because most creative types, they're going to build something for 3.5 years and not have any validation whatsoever. And so then their thing hits with a thud.
Yeah. We needed paying customers because they had to have skin in the game. Paying customers that said, yeah, what you're doing is valuable enough for us to pay something. I didn't care how much it was. They had to pay something, and they had to sign a commercial agreement. And it was, they could opt out whenever they wanted. Like, I didn't care, but just something, just to come on, we're doing this. And you know what? They would then give us legitimate, real feedback, so we could take the hypothesis and take our ideas, which is kind of, it's an idea, but until someone uses it. And so you asked me a question at the very beginning. You said, how different is the vision from where you are, right? The problem we're solving is the same. The execution has changed because we've always had customer feedback every step of the way.
I love that. Okay. You're coming up on 5 years, right? And end of this year will be your 5th 5-year anniversary since your
5 plus. We had our 5th year. Yeah. It's 2018,
all
right?
Beautiful. Take me back to year one. This is the make or break it year. What were some of the challenges? What are the lessons that you had to learn?
People said that you needed to raise money. And so I'm like, okay, we got to raise money. So I spent a lot of time going up and down the valley, talking to VCs. I think the story wasn't clear enough. We probably should have kept it cooking for a while longer before we spread the story, prove the value. Because when you're sitting face to face with a group of executives and they're telling you there's no way this will work, that's not the most encouraging thing in the world. And so, I remember a few meetings, Arthur and I would walk out and like, all right, well, that wasn't good. And we just kind of have to pep ourselves up and let's just keep going.
Fantastic. Okay, so moving towards today, 5 years out, 200% growth. What is the complexion of the company today, and how are you managing all this stuff? Give us some CEO advice.
I think CEO advice number one, share how things are working. Share the good, share the bad, be open, be transparent. Let everybody get visibility into what needs to happen. As a CEO, number one on the priority list, let's make sure that everybody has complete visibility into what's going on. So we do weekly team check-ins, right? So every Monday, bring the team together, and we do it structured, right? We actually use Saleshood for it, and everybody shares gratitude. So they are, sharing what are they grateful for, what are some updates. Sometimes folks will record videos about some stories that are going on, some things that are happening, and then everybody kind of puts in their goals and successes for the week. So we're all laser sharp focused on what's most important.
Yeah, I remember you sharing this with me last time I was in your office about these 1 hour weekly check-ins, and that you have a structure. That's really important, something that I'm going to need to learn from this. And that you start with a gratitude. And I like that. It kind of frames your mind in the conversation to be optimistic and happy about the things that we've done, so it's not totally negative. And then you have people do updates. And then tell me a little bit about what a goal might sound like for a week. And if they're sharing successes, is that from last week?
Since this is a Monday morning, the goals are upcoming. So what are my goals for the next 5 days? And then the successes, or what were the successes from the last week? And I think this is the most important point for me as a CEO. I'll walk into the team check-in and I'll have a good sense based on everybody's submissions, kind of where we're at and where people are focused on. So I get an instant sentiment of what people are thinking they got to work on for the week, so I can quickly adjust. Let's pause for a second.
Did it spill on your computer?
It did on the keyboard a little bit. Yeah.